Hello, everyone. My name is Brent. I'm the host for Canadians with Disabilities and their Allies. And I'm actually the weatherman. Everyone knows me as the weatherman. So welcome, everyone, to another great episode. I'm actually really excited to have the following guest join me on my podcast today. His name is Aaron Richmond. And Aaron Richmond is a podcaster. He's does a segment on YouTube. He's a YouTuber. It's Aaron's Opinion Guest. And he's an American friend that we've got to know over the last year. He actually had me on his show. And so that was early in the summer of 2022. So I'm actually really pleased to announce that he's actually joining me today on my podcast. So welcome, Aaron. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Brent, and thank you so much, Neil. Yeah, welcome, everybody. Brent's right. The name's Aaron Richmond of the podcast Aaron's Opinion. Aaron's Opinion TV on YouTube. And you guys can put, I know you guys have a long list of links that you can add into the description, but click the links in the description for more information. And don't forget to comment below. Now, as a podcaster, I spent a lot of time today with my guests asking a lot of questions, so I'll turn it back right over to you, Brent. What do you really want to know about me? And I hope that there's a lot of action in the comments. Go for it, man.
Yes, most definitely, Aaron. I actually want you to tell our guests who is Aaron Richmond. And I do know, Aaron Richmond, you were referred over to me from High Energy FM. And it's so awesome that High Energy FM is broadcasting our podcast onto their station, so everyone in the world can actually listen to us. And thanks to High Energy FM. But going back to you, Aaron, so tell us about who is Aaron Richmond, and just a little bit about yourself.
Aaron Richmond is a 31-year-old American. My day job is I'm a teacher. My thing that I do anytime else is usually I watch a lot of horror videos on YouTube and scary content, along with uploading episodes of my own podcast and interviewing people from around the world. Very similarly to what you do, Brent. Very, very similar concept. I just spoke with someone a couple hours ago from South Africa. And it's really important that we keep doing, our podcast, because so many people around the world need our content and need to learn from our knowledge. I would say that I got into podcasting at the height of the pandemic, and I was listening to podcasts around the blindness community, but I felt they were not open enough to my very eccentric opinions and very outspoken opinions that I have about society. And I figured out that, if I push the record button, I can talk to myself all day. Well, isn't that nice? only to find out, though, that people around the world, actually, some of them do care what I want to say. And that the people what I would do is I would answer a Facebook question that someone would leave in a various blindness group on Facebook. I would answer their question in audio format, giving my opinions. And that over time developed. And then it occurred to me, that's a podcast. And then I just kept on building it up. And the more I do it and did it, the better and better I felt. And the more positivity that came to it. Of course, like we were saying before you pushed record, we always have our bad apples and the odd characters along the way. But we have a majority of people that are supportive of what we do. And yes, thank you, Akil, High Energy FM. Thank you for broadcasting Canadians with Disabilities and their Allies.
Yeah, for sure.
And Aaron's Opinion. Yeah, they're doing great work down there in awesome. Trinidad and Tobago.
They're totally wonderful people there. And 2 thumbs up. And if I could get more than 2 thumbs up, Aaron, I just can't seem to grow to more than the 2 thumbs. But if I could, I would you know, I just had to throw that in there. I mean, that's just one of the things I do. And I'm getting back to kind of revisit a little bit of retro. I look back and I look back into the summer of when you had me on your show, and that was a really good segment, and I thank you for that. And I know you had Neil on too, and it's fabulous, right? I mean, reconnecting with you going forward, and kind of revisiting kind of where we left off of how things have developed over from that point on till now. Like what like different advocacy, like what have you learned in that time frame? And then I'll kind of go back a little bit further into the podcast from before.
Yeah. I mean, as far as what I've learned, well, I've continued to teach, continued to upload episodes, continued to reach out to guests. I'm noticing that the longer I do it, though, the more hesitant guests become to actually come on the show. So it gets harder and harder the more you do this. That's what I've noticed. But I've also been hearing, I mean, I kind of want to turn the tables. I mean, I've been hearing a lot from you guys up there in Canada, that there's been a lot of I'm getting the impression that there's a lot of real serious issues going on in the blindness community in Canada. And I was just wondering, how is that going? Because I see you guys are tweeting about it constantly, about different bills and pieces of legislation that are supposedly targeted towards or to help people with disabilities. It seems like there's some sort of something's going on up there, some sort of issue or problem up there. What's going on? Let's kind of start digging into the meat and potatoes here. I mean, what's really going on these days? What are the updates that you want to present about that?
There's always issues, though, right?
Oh, most definitely. I mean, we'll get into the the little carrot tricks. I mean, because that's your vegetables part of it, right? And what I find is that, well, vote for me because I have your back, right? Well, right. The fact is that the politicians are not giving enough financial support to persons with disabilities in Canada. Every single province that we have, it's like in every single state that the U.S. has, right? So in Canada, it's like every single province. So in Canada, they have a legal obligation under the UN Conventions of Rights of Persons with Disabilities. Unfortunately, they're not upholding that right of financial security, social security. And so in many provinces, the average amount, when I say average, I mean, those amounts can be way off, but average it out, stats basically say that it's like 1,068 on average. Now, rates are way different in each province. In my view, they need to be up way above they call it poverty level. Now, what is of course, that gets into a whole new topic of poverty level. I think people should just have enough where they need to basically buy the goods and services that they need and provide for their adaptive equipment for their disabilities on top of it, right? So, based on they could put in tax measures, they can make it taxable. Right now, it's not taxable. But I mean, give them what their needs. I mean, if their needs become greater, give them what they need. But nobody should be below a level and not having enough money to survive. So what's going on with the different bills that you mentioned? There is one bill in the House of Commons right now in the capital, which is in Ottawa, Ontario. Right now, it's called the Bill C-22, and that's actually the Canada Disability Benefit. Right now it's empty. So that kind of gets into when I mentioned about the pot of spaghetti. All right. So here's the spaghetti episode. So you got the pot of spaghetti. You got the pot. Now it's supposed to have all your noodles in, right? You got the water in it. You asked me to put the water in, right? So I'm boiling it, but that's all. You just asked me to get the spaghetti started. But where's all the ingredients? That's the problem with the bill. It's empty. It has nothing, no content in that bill. They want to, that means the feds, they want to study it, Aaron. They want to study it. They want to get it right. And rightfully so, right? I mean, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt on that. Rightfully so. They want to make sure to get this right. Okay.
They've had a lot of years to get it right? They always say we're working on it, but that's the thing is on my perspective, it seems like whenever there's an election time, either whether it's federal or provincial, it's like any disabled issues we're like the pawns, right? It's like they make disability as part of their platform, and it's like, oh well, we'll look after you guys, and it becomes this big talking point, and then when they get elected, it's like nothing really changes. It was just like, it's just something to talk about during the election process, and then we're forgotten again.
Yeah,
that's what it feels like.
Exactly, Neil. It's like they just shelve it. They put it onto a shelf after that, and they say, okay, we've done our talking point. Well, now we'll just kind of revisit it some other time. In the meantime, people suffer, and so what it is that they want to develop it, and of course they're going to take. It has to go through our Senate, and it's going to take at least another year. In some cases, it could take even longer than that if there's any delays. So what the disability community across Canada, what we're asking the feds right now is for an emergency supplement in the meantime to, well, they take their sweet old time and develop it. I mean, they've been in the power since 2015 when they got in. They could have easily got that going then, right? But they called an election, a snap election, the feds did. And the bill is just in the first reading, and then boom, or they just got introduced, I guess it was, and then boom, it died, right? So
and it's still going to be a year away before anything actually happens.
Oh, yeah, exactly, and it's all talk. So we're pushing for a word called DERB. It's called DERB, and it's like what every Canadian got. Well, minus the disabled people, they got the CERB, and the Fed said, hey, $1,000 was supposed to be enough. Well, the opposition party that's holding the Liberal Party up in Ottawa basically called for double the amount. So basically, they twisted their arm pretty much, right? Saying, "Uncle, okay."
Did they have anything else like that similar in the States, Aaron? Like some kind of CERB, like an emergency payment to Americans?
Yes, there was and is, and
what was the amount of that?
Oh, I don't know.
We got $2,000, not the disabled community, but
no, I know what you mean.
Oh, no.
I know.
Yeah.
I know what you mean. Mm-hmm. No, I don't know. The government in America, they were passing money out to people so much that people quit their jobs and stayed home and took the money from the government. Okay. Which is my point that I'm going to try to make here is that I have a problem. What I have a problem with. And I do agree with you. I'm not disagreeing with you at all. It is a huge problem, this whole financial aspect. But the pit of this and the Achilles heel of all of this is that when you give people money, when you give someone a fish, they will never learn to fish for the rest of their lives. Right. And this is precisely where I think Americans and Canadians, slightly disagree. Canadians are more about the collective, and the Americans are more generalized about the individual. Now, I can tell you this: the other question that I would beg or I would pose is, so if you're asking as a blind Canadian and a successful Canadian, both of you are, if both of you are asking for more money from the government, well, that's fine. But I would ask, well, then, aren't you working? In other words, if you're asking for more money for the government, that's evidence to me that there's not enough opportunity for employment for disabled people. What is that problem?
Yeah, that's true.
What's
that problem? Because that seems to be the crux of the problem. What do you think about that? Or what about the employment?
Yeah, the opportunity is, the way I look at it, I mean, some people in Canada would disagree with me on it, but I look at it is if you give a person or a disabled person or a blind person in Canada more money, or any disabled person more money in Canada, that they're going to put the money back into the community that they live in. They could be an entrepreneur. They could actually use that money to maybe get their a home-based business going. They could be actively employed for themselves, or if they have adaptive equipment that they're able to do certain employment. They could use that money to better themselves in so many ways. Mm-hmm. That's how I see it.
I know when I was on your show, Aaron, I think I alluded to the fact that I spent about 6 years working for what was called the Disability Foundation here. It's run by an MLA here called Sam Sullivan. And so what I did for 6 years there was I actually helped other people with disabilities find employment. that was part of my job, and a lot of it was actually just meeting other disabled people for coffee, and I had to learn to be more extroverted because I'm not really extroverted by nature, actually. I kind of learned to be more extroverted, and so you're meeting strangers basically for coffee, and
well, that's a good job. I can do that.
Yeah,
it's
basically it's a lot of like life coaching, and so that was fun. And what I was going to say though is, as much success as we did have with the employment, like some really got some good opportunities. There are always going to be those with the disabilities that just really can't work, right? And I think that's the problem that we have too, is that there's this expectation that, of course, everybody can work, and that's not really the case. Yes. And I think there's a danger there where we're, as a society, like across the board, whether you're in Canada or the States or wherever, we've put such a high value on work, and it's like when you introduce yourself, or anybody introduces themselves for the first time, it's like, oh, where do you work, or what do you do for a living, right? There's so much emphasis put on work, and that is a little bit unfortunate in the sense that, I mean, there's so much more value to a person than what they do for a living, right? So I mean, I can see both sides of the coin. Like, of course, it's good to work, it's good to be productive, but at the other end of the spectrum, it's like you're putting pressure on people that can't work and devaluing them as people by saying you only have value if you work, you don't have value otherwise. And I see the point. I think that's
that's it's interesting, Neil, that you say it that way, because that's not what I think, but I'm in agreement with. I get the point. I don't know. My opinion is, for the most part, though, I think that everyone needs to try to do their best and try to work a little bit. You know, but it would take a lot for me to say the sentence, I don't think you can work. I don't see myself saying that sentence. I do believe that all people with disabilities need, for the most part, need to be working full time, or even part time, or even volunteering, or even doing something. It would take a lot for me to say someone cannot work. Now, there are certain people, in some rare cases, where they truly are suffering from a variety of challenges, mental, physical. I get it. I respect it. I completely support it. So what we need to do is, us blind people who are capable of working, and you too, but all three of us people who are able to work, we need to work, and then we need to take, in my opinion, we need to take less money from the government, and the money that would have gone to us needs to go to that 1 or 2 or 5% of the population who truly cannot work. So that way we're contributing, and that way the people that truly can actually have a better life that way. Now, easier said. Now your retort back to me will be, well, easier said than done. Yes, of course, but that's exactly the problem. Is that if we see, the thing is, if we fix this problem, then we won't have a problem to fix. Like I would tell a doctor, I want to be healthy, right? But no, not that healthy. Just a little bit healthy. Just healthy enough for me to scrape by, for me to pass the form to the secretary and say, okay, bye, see you next year, bye, okay, next year.
Isn't it like the saying is, well, give an apple a day keeps the doctor away, or something? Yeah.
Right. So basically, what that means is that we have to find the little apple, right? We have to find the little charm in our lives that will then go to those 1% of people who genuinely cannot work. Okay, I know a lot of people, and I know one person that cannot work, and they are not blind. Okay, they Mr. or Mrs. Anonymous has a mental health situation, and I know them from my university days, and I know that it would be challenging for that person to work. So I get the argument, but I think what we need to do is we need to really push hard. We need to really have some friction when we start making these financial legislations, and making sure that if you're able to work, you're working. If you genuinely can't, we need to help you out a little bit more. But the help needs to go to the people who really cannot help themselves at all.
Mm-hmm.
That's just my opinion.
Yeah, and that's a good comparison of the basically the situation of what the person's abilities versus some people that just cannot. Like, I totally get what you're saying on that, Aaron. Yeah, totally.
But here's another piece of it too, and Brent knows probably what I'm going to say is like I've worked for over 20 years. Like I did at least 40-hour work weeks for a long time. Sometimes like a 50-hour work week, sometimes 60-hour work weeks, and then my first wife passed away in 2013, and I got a survivor's pension as a result of that, right? Well, because I'm on disability, the government turns around and says, well, now that you had your wife pass away, you've got this bonus money that is extra, so you don't really deserve it, so we're just going to claw it back off your disability check. And it's like, well, to me that doesn't make sense, because it's money that I work for. I mean, like I said, I've worked for 20 years, and I paid into it, or actually my wife paid into it. My late wife did. And it's like, well, that's an employment benefit, or that's an employment privilege that everybody should get, whether you're able-bodied or disabled. But yet the provincial government says, if you're disabled and on disability, we're just going to axe that money off because it's a wonderful bonus that your wife passed away. So we're just going to
in other words,
take that money away.
Just so I understand, Neil. In other words, they took the survivor pension away. They shaved off some of that money, or they shaved off some of. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, probably in the States we have a similar thing, different vocab for different words that mean exactly the same mess, but we have
clawbacks. They call it clawbacks.
Right.
Yeah.
We have similar laws about Social Security benefits, and I mean, I'm sure that's exactly what would happen in America for sure.
Okay.
They would probably, or in America, what they'll do is if they discover that you work too much, then they just cut the Social Security. Then they say you can't be on Social Security. Yeah. Probably they would have done it either way.
You're too able.
Yeah. In other words, that's how they would have. But in America, they still would have. It still would have been an issue that you were getting the survivor pension. I guarantee you that would have been an issue in the States too.
Okay.
Now what you would do about it in the States? Well, I don't know. The other problem behind all of this mess is that the bureaucracy that our countries are very different governmentally wise, but the bureaucracy that's behind both of our governments is so severe that oftentimes another problem, let's talk about it, is that people with disabilities can't navigate the government or the provincial government even if they wanted to solve the problem.
Exactly.
So usually what happens is when people with disabilities get into these jams with money, they give up. They just say, I don't know what to do. And then they go ask their mommy or daddy or brother or the guy next door for money. It happens constantly. It's rampant. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And, it's like they take with one hand and they give it to the other, right? It's like the time where I told you about the episode on a bus. The guy says, well, sits down. He's like, take it. And he just give it up onto the overhead. He took his leg off and he's overhead, right? I mean, wow. Right.
Yeah. Well, that's true. But my concern that I've expressed it on my own show before, and I don't know if I've expressed it specifically with you guys on the show on my podcast. I might have, is that I'm very concerned for the Canadian people like you guys and Americans, is that we're just passing money around, and we're developing a generation of people that just won't work. So you see there's a difference from can't and won't. And my concern is that we have a lot of people that won't. Most people won't work. Some people can work but don't work hard enough, and then you have some people that can't work at all and then still try to work. Well, that doesn't work.
Yeah.
You're going to end up with we're going to end up with a society where I'm going to have to take care of the people who won't work, couldn't work, woulda, coulda, shoulda. And I'm already fed up with it, and I'm 31. How much more is this? How much longer is this going to last? Because this is going to cause a serious financial meltdown, for sure.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I could see that the bureaucrats are going to start getting these robots and start programming them in because they won't have enough people to work or want to work, or they're the ones that are able to work. I mean, robots are going to be telling them what to do.
Yeah. Well, that's another thing that's really scary is
it is.
This AI that managed to pass in the States. There's an artificial intelligence that just passed the MLE, the medical licensing exam. So, if AI is going to be that sophisticated, then we need to really think critically about what future we want for the young, as we say, the young little kids. Young children. We want to think about, okay, now in my case, I'm going to be around for at least another 55, 60, 70. I mean, I might make it to 100. It's a very good chance. I have a lot of people in my family who live very long, up into their upper 90s. I could be here in 70 years, but most people wouldn't be. And that's fine as long as you set forth a strong foundation for the future. And I'm deeply concerned that at least in America, we are not doing that. My concern is that we're actually on basically a two-lane country road, and a car off in the distance has their headlights pointed at us, and eventually we won't be able to swerve. And we are headed, in my opinion, I warn you, we're headed for some sort of collision, some sort of disaster. I don't know what, but what do you think, Brent?
I think that, we're heading for a complete meltdown, right, of society as we know it. Basically, put it into prospect here, it's how civilized that we know it. I think that the needs are becoming greater, the amount of population that's growing, and we're not able to sustain the amount of resources that we have for everybody. I think the robots are going to come and take over.
Well, no, I think before the robots take over, I think we'll self-destruct as people before the robots get to us. But yet, in regard,
I always think of Skynet, Terminator, and Skynet all the time.
Terminator.
You know what's really funny about that? You know what's bizarre that you just said that word Skynet? I was just at a doctor's appointment yesterday, and the doctor and I were speaking about the AI technology, and she made that exact reference literally 48 hours ago. It's so weird that you bring it up like that. Yeah. But I have my concerns, but then I also have faith in what we do as content creators. I mean I'm not worried about you guys. I'm not worried about me, but I am worried about the situation and the lack of interest and lack of attentiveness to it. But I don't really see any light at the end of the tunnel with it.
Yeah. As long as the UFOs don't come down, right? Maybe that's what's happening.
I would prefer. Well, I guarantee it now. Do you, Neil? By the way, it's your show, Neil. It's your show, Brent. Do you allow the discussion of UFOs a little bit?
Yeah.
Do you allow it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I mean, look. Quite frankly, I'm fascinated by that concept. I love talking about aliens. I believe in them. I know they're real. But I would love to sit down with an alien for an interview. Really, in the comments, go ahead and laugh. But I mean it. There's a lot of things I would ask, and a lot of things that I would just love to talk about with them. But here's the thing. I am much more afraid of the politicians that are humans than I do of the aliens that are coming down to talk to us. I'm way more afraid of the politicians. Yeah. Those people scare me. The aliens, I'll take the alien out to Starbucks and have a cup of coffee with the alien. No problem. Sign him up. But
we can learn new language there with them, right?
Yeah, I mean, I wonder what the grays. I mean, I don't think a human person could ever learn it. I mean, I don't know. I'm just kind of like magically mesmerized by that. Like, what would it really be like? Like what would they really talk about? But I mean, I think the fact that there are all these UFOs and all these balloons that are floating around, and I think that I'm certainly not in the prediction business, but I think it's a sign that most people are not really attuned to or paying attention to, but they might want to, because it might be really.
I'm paying attention.
Oh,
I'm paying attention.
Oh, yeah.
No, you are, Neil. I know.
Oh, I've been
But
following.
Neil, but what's your perception of the balloons and the UFO site? What's your perception of it? What's the meaning, do you think?
I think there's more to the story with those balloons than what the bureaucrats are what they want to admit.
Right. Yeah,
I
very well
don't-
could be right.
I don't know if there's any Martians inside those balloons that are operating them, or maybe, but who knows? If not, I think that that they are somewhere, and I think that it's just a matter of time.
Right. Well, hopefully soon.
Well,
I don't know.
to quote from the
Yeah.
to quote
Maybe
from
I
the,
Go
can
ahead,
have
Neil. Go ahead, Neil.
I was
Yeah.
going to say, to quote from the Bible, there's lots of powers and principalities that we know nothing about, right? And
Yeah.
I think things stay a mystery for a reason, and because people don't want you to know. So,
Right.
But
Yeah.
as long as you know that there's powers and principalities in play, that that's what people have to realize.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of and I understand it, because I know it's an overwhelming concept for humanity to realize that, we aren't alone. They're coming to do something. And I'm not trying to start any. I'm really not trying to start any rumors. Seriously now.
No.
But here's the thing. I think we do need to take it seriously and realize, well, maybe we do need to start thinking about what some of these things mean, because I think that we aren't thinking enough. And I think it's a great time to start thinking. And I don't know, but I think that,
one of my favorite shows was the X-Files. You remember the X-Files?
Yes.
I'm too young.
You're too young for that one. But that was
I'm 31.
That was filmed in Vancouver, actually,
Yes, it was.
and it was a really popular show, and I love that show because it was all like sci-fi and aliens and government conspiracy. It's a great great
absolutely.
show.
But all of those conspiracies, I believe to be true. I mean, all that stuff at this point, I already believe all this stuff.
Well,
anyway,
I know,
so I don't need a show like that.
That's why the show was so good, though, because it was almost, you could sort of see the
It was
reality
so
in it.
intriguing.
Right.
It was so intriguing.
Yeah,
It kept you on the edge of your seat, and you're just like, what's going to happen next?
But yeah, it was a great show, and I remember always trying to go around the city and try to find where the trailers were, and see if I could spot like Gillian Anderson. I was like, because I thought she was like really cute. I was like, oh, maybe I'll run into Gillian Anderson or David Duchovny. Yeah.
And maybe try to be an extra, in there.
Yeah.
One time there was a sitcom, Aaron, that was getting filmed locally in the city that I lived in, and they were filming, and I just thought, they had the sidewalk that was open, and they had these barricades and just keeping the people, the crowd aside. So I see these two people standing right near some real estate office, and I knew it was, and they were just talking, and I just go, well, I'm just going to cut through here, and I'll be quiet, because they were filming on the set. Well, I didn't realize that they were filming. Those two standing there were actually filming, talking to each other, and they were being recorded. Well, I cut right past them. I go, hey, how's it going?
So cool.
They're like, fine, sir. And here's cut, sir. You need to now move on. I'm like, oh.
Oh my
So now they tried editing me out of the scene, but if I watch it, I see those.
Okay, that's so cool, man. Dude, we got to get that footage of you basically photobombing. That's awesome. Generally, nowadays in the States, what they'll do for that very reason is they close off the area that they're filming on purpose, and you can't get that close.
Yeah.
Not to mention, nowadays with the security, they wouldn't let people get that close to an actor now, but a long time ago, they weren't so concerned. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I watched the segment, and I see this shoosh right by, but they couldn't get it out.
That is so cool. That's adorable. It reminds me. Do you guys remember? I don't know if you guys really follow him or not. Do you guys know about our great buddy down here in the States, our great friend of Aaron's opinion, Johnny Johnson from Intervision FM? He's also a film director. He's done a lot of great stuff. He was directing a film in the 1990s, and he was an amateur back then. Now he's an amazing guy, but he was he was amazing then, and he's still amazing. He was producing a film, and he allowed each cinematographer, each cameraman, to bring their own camera. Let me tell you, don't do it. Big mistake. Here's why. he had some guy, Joe Schmo, Freddie, or Freddie, let's call him Freddie for instance, and Freddie didn't know. Okay, Neil, do you remember with the camcorders how in the bottom right corner you would see like the clock and the day?
Right,
and the time?
right.
Yeah.
Right. If you're a film director, you're supposed to edit that out, right? Obviously. Well, Freddie didn't tell anyone on the set. He didn't know how to edit out the days and times. Yeah. So they recorded the whole. It gets better. They recorded the whole entire film. With certain scenes that he did, you could see the little clock at the bottom right.
Flashing clock.
Yes.
Ding, 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 ding.
And then the director and I can talk about it because when Johnny Johnson on my show told me, I was like, I really was falling out. I was falling out of my chair. I'm dead. I had to hold on to the table. And then Johnny, apparently the story goes that Johnny told the guy, Freddie, you're supposed to edit out the days and times. Why didn't you do it? He says, well, I didn't know how. Well, then they said, well, Freddie, you're supposed to tell us that you didn't know how to do that. And then they said, and then they had to put the film up for like screening at a film festival, and they still couldn't get the days and times out of the bottom right corner of certain scenes. There were just hovering clocks on certain scenes. They couldn't get it out. And then the joke was, yeah, Freddie didn't come to the film festival. He didn't watch the film.
Oh man,
he didn't make it to screening. So yeah, there's some really silly stuff can happen when you accidentally photobomb or don't know how to edit something properly. There's some really hysterical stories that can come of that. Yeah,
that sounds really funny.
It is. Speaking of really funny, Neil, what's going on with our friends in the comment section? What's going on with all those haters and bad apples over there? Let's get some hatred in the chat. What's going on?
Well, we have F-Stop, our friend F-Stop. You don't know who he is, but he's a guy that likes photography, and he's joined the chat. He's talking about person of interest is another one with talks about AI a lot. That TV show.
Okay, never heard of that one specifically.
It's Ellen, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had Alan come on, F-Stop. He came on talking about one segment, Aaron. I had him come on and he was talking about tiny homes.
I love talking about that. I love tiny homes.
Yeah.
I'll have to find that one. That's cool.
Talking about a segment he was on about that. And, yeah, it was great.
Do you have tiny homes in Canada? Do you have a tiny home community anywhere in Canada? Is that a thing?
Well, actually, I have an uncle that... I have an uncle in Grand Forks that he loves tiny homes. He built one himself, and
oh wow,
yeah, because he's very much of an environmentalist. I was gonna say actually though that we have another comment about somebody said that that some companies don't invest enough in adaptive equipment for people with disabilities, and that's why.
Well, let me
one of the hurdles for employment.
Well, let me address that. Who is it, by the way? Who said
it was Jennifer.
Okay, well, Jennifer. Here's what I can say. If she's still on, if she's still watching the stream,
she's still there.
Okay, I would tell her, look, I would say I don't necessarily want companies to invest in adaptive technology. We, as the successful employers, need to come to the company with our technology already adapted. That's the difference. I don't mind if companies want to spend money on it, but it's we, the employers, who need to come ready for battle, basically, with our technology. And that's really what I think about that. Okay. If she has any follow-ups, that would be really, really good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like for Jennifer, like if the adaptive equipment was fitted exactly for the individual, maybe I'll get Aaron's opinion on that one. Aaron's opinion.
What do you mean by fitted for?
Like adapted to what the person's needs are, versus just like as a generic saying, yeah, here you go, you can figure it out. Versus like say, like Neil, I'll use as an example. So Neil's scooter that he has, right? It's built for him. Like he fits into it, and it's part of who is an extension for Neil. Like it's and yeah, like anybody's like glasses, how glasses will fit, like they're fitted for the person. Same thing, I guess. So what's your opinion about that, Aaron?
Well, I guess my opinion is, I mean, that's good. I mean, you can
Yeah.
have things that are fitted for you like that, but I just also think that when people go to work, they need to. I mean, it's a two-way street, and I
Yeah.
completely defend that. It goes both ways. The company
Right.
needs to be ready, but then the employer needs to be ready. You know.
Right. Yeah. It
So
has to
yeah,
kind of work both sides. Yeah. Coincide.
right,
I've
right.
always, whenever I went to job interviews, I was always, there's a big thing about disclosing or disclosure.
Let's. Ooh, I love
that
philosophizing about that.
Yeah.
That's a big
Yeah.
one,
Yeah.
right?
Oh yeah.
And for me personally, like on resumes, I would never disclose on a resume because I always wanted to have the interview first and have the face to face thing first, and then like once you see me in person, then you can make the judgment call, right? And so for me, if I got the face to face interview, that was when I could prove that here I am as a person. I'm cool. You'll want me as an employee, and it always worked good that way because I was able to sell myself way better in person rather than if I just disclosed on a resume. Then I always thought, well, maybe the employer's going to just discard me too early without even seeing me first, right?
Right.
Right, right. I don't know. I tend to think that the employers who will accept you with a disability will be the same no matter what you did. I tend to say, let's just talk about it. Let's be open about it because the people that are open are always open, and the people that are going to judge you, you never want to work for.
Well,
So I don't think it. I don't think it necessarily makes that big of it. I'm not sure if it makes a concrete difference. I understand you have a ton more experience than I, but I don't think it makes a whole lot of difference one way or the other
No,
in the greater scheme of things.
yeah, I mean, the way I look at it is, I mean, the employer has to just accept you for who you are,
Right.
who you are,
Exactly.
and not judge the person for their disability or anything that they pick up on. And it's really unfortunate, and that kind of goes with either employment or even a person renting somewhere. Oh, you have a disability. Oh, okay, we have to accommodate you. Like, okay, I'm just me. Like, if you don't like me, then you know.
Well, one of the things I was looking to add though is
Yeah.
one of the really big problems, especially say 20 years ago or 30 years ago, was if you were a person with a disability, and you go and have that first interaction with the employer during a job interview, the way the rules were written, and I think they kind of still are that way, is that the employer can't actually ask you anything about your disability because it's considered discriminatory, right? So,
No, but I actually disagree with that. I think
well,
the
I know,
employer,
but that's
Yeah.
I think they need to. I think the employer needs to be allowed to ask, and then I
Well,
think the employee needs to be allowed to speak up and explain the extent of the whole situation.
exactly. But that's what I'm saying is that it's set up. It used to be set up in the way that the employers couldn't ask, and so I always took it upon myself because I knew they couldn't ask that I would just fully disclose and say,
Yeah.
I have a disability. This is what it is. This is what
Yeah.
this is what I can and cannot do, but I know I can do the job.
Right.
I was very clear about what my abilities were and what my shortcomings were, and I would just tell them point blank, this is what I can and can't do, and I know I'd be a good fit for you. And once I was the one that threw it all on the table, then they were comfortable enough to ask me about my disability, and then that's how I got all my jobs that way. I was always freely disclosed, and once I kind of laid everything out, they knew that it was kind of no holds barred. They could ask me anything they wanted at that point, and that's that's kind of what you want, right? You want the employer to feel comfortable. You don't want to leave the interview and think, well, gee, I wonder. I don't think the employer knows anything about my disability. And if that's the case, that's bad, because
Right.
you're leaving them with a doubt that I don't think they're gonna think, I don't think this person Neil can do the job, because he didn't tell me anything about his disability, so I'm freaked out. Like the employer's thinking I'm freaked out. You know?
Right.
And you don't want to be ever in a situation where you have employers thinking that, right? You want them to leave that interview going, wow, I really like that person, and I think he can really do the job, without any other questions about disability.
And maybe that's why the policymakers who basically put these applications out going, oh, I don't mention about disability. They're thinking, oh my gosh, well, we better not put that in there. I mean, person doesn't want to talk about themselves. And way I look at it is people should talk about themselves, right? Exactly. Like let people know who you are. It's like what Neil mentioned at the beginning of the podcast. It's like, and I used to be the same way. Nobody would ever believe that. They say, Brent, I used to be shy. Yeah, I'd be like shy talking to media or whatever. Oh, no, like, no. They put me right there, put a bunch of cameras right in front of me and a bunch of microphones and go, hey, tell me about you, Brent.
Yeah.
And I used to have to do in college, I used to have to do podcasts and look at the camera and then have the class to go through and say, hey, this is how you sound, Brent. This is how you're positioned on camera, and you got to hear about your own self. I mean, it was scary, really.
You gotta be really, really, really comfortable with hearing you.
Yes.
And that's, so you kind of do need a little bit of an edge, a little bit of a little bit of a personality to be comfortable enough with yourself. You have to be.
One of the big things that I've always used is humor. I always say I use humor as a crutch, right? And of course I have crutches in real life too. But I use humor as a crutch all the time. And I can give you a little story. I worked as a
love story.
I worked as a public servant for the provincial government for 8 years, and for I think it was for about 2.5 years I worked for the Ministry of Transportation, and then we got a new government coming in, and the new government just decided they wanted to slash and burn everything and close all these offices, and one of the offices they were going to close is our office, and they were just going to basically leave a skeleton crew of like maybe 4 or 5 people behind in the office, and basically let go of everybody else. It was just a total basically, like I said, just clear everybody out, and
flash it,
and so on that day where everything kind of hit the fan, and our boss is. And she was a wonderful, wonderful woman, just really cool. But our boss was calling everybody in one by one, and basically saying, "Yeah, you're fired. We have to let you go." And then that person would come back, and then another person would come in, and yeah, you're fired. And it was just like a constant stream of like
an assembly line.
Yeah, and then I was called in, and I come into her office, and she was sitting on a chair, and then there was another woman that was had to kind of like one of the higher ups, that was like upper echelon, and she was there just to make sure that everything was going to code, right? And so my boss calls me in, and she says, "Hi, Neil, have a seat." And she says, you probably know what's going to happen right now, but she says, come and have a seat. And I look around, I scan the room, and I mean, she's got a seat, and then the woman's got a seat, and there's no other seat. And so I say, well, can I sit on your lap? and she laughed so hard, and like she was so stressed out. She was so stressed out the whole, like she was in tears, like the whole morning she was like totally stressed out. Like she hated the fact that she's letting everybody go, right? But I come in and I said, "Can I sit in your lap?" And she starts laughing, right? And she says, "This is the first time I've laughed all morning, because she's so stressed out, right?" And so that's kind of a neat little story, but Yeah.
I love that story, and you know, it really put a stressful situation into a more of a relaxed, kind of
Yeah.
humorous situation, right?
Yeah.
It really, I find that too in life, Neil and Aaron. That you know, I find that so many people have different obstacles that they're having to deal with, and I try to turn a negative into a positive with energy, and I bring humor into like doing podcasts, and I've learned that over time. I've stumbled a few times here and there, you know, tongue tied. Oh, no, like what do I say? And then you know at the beginning, and I thought, you know what, Brent, just wing it, just be yourself, just you're just natural. And I
Yeah.
mean, remember a couple bloopers that we had at the beginning there, right? You know?
Yeah. I
But
always find if it's too forced, it's.
oh
I
yeah,
mean, it's not.
like like what
Yeah.
I mean is scripted. Like, and
Yeah.
I tried doing a scripted thing, Aaron. I tell you, it was a bombshell. And I'm not going to say who, but
Yeah.
you know, it was a couple though. There was a couple. There was one person, and there was another one. But tried doing that too, and no, Brent, don't do it. And even reading cue cards, like if I'm doing like a housing announcement or some kind of rally, I won't even look at a cue card. I might glance at my phone for a second, and I go, oh, like a little reminder saying "reminder, Brent," or like a topic. Then boom, I just wing it top of my head because I bring it. I say it right from my heart. I say what's on my mind too, and I think it's more genuine. Yeah, sometimes you might lose your train of thought of what you're saying if you
Yeah.
get interrupted.
And here's another little tidbit from me is you know I've been married twice, and you know my first marriage was back in it was what was it 2003.
Mhm.
And I remember one of the things everybody was asking me like was like you know about 2 weeks lead up to the wedding. Everybody's asking me, "Oh, have you written your speech yet? Have you written your speech yet?" I'm like, "No, it's fine. I'm just gonna wing it." And they're like, "What? You can't do that. You have to practice your speech. You have to write a speech. You have to practice it." I said, "I don't have to practice that. I just wing it." And they're like, "What?" And everybody's like, "What? Are you crazy?" And I thought to myself, "No, it's just like
No.
I want it to come from the heart. You know,
Yes.
I don't want it to be like words from the page. I want it to be spontaneous. I want to feel whatever comes out of my mouth at that moment is what I'm
Yeah,
feeling. I don't want to think about what I'm going to say. I just want to have it come out naturally.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, it wants to be you. Yeah,
and
like,
that's the
yeah.
same thing with the second marriage, with my second marriage too. I didn't want to practice anything, and everybody's like, "What? You're crazy." I'm like, "No, you know, because it doesn't. I want it to be natural. I want it to be me, and you know, I think that's so important. You want it to be genuine."
It's not like some of the politicians where they'll have a script, right? And they all have a copy of what each other is going to say, you know? It's like, yeah, you know, and we have more to do. We have your back.
Yeah.
We got more to do. Don't worry.
Yeah.
And they're reading the script. Hey, wait a minute. You went off script. Hey, wait a minute.
And then they have things like what to say if the person says this, and what to say if the person says this, what to say if the person says this. Yeah.
And every so often they go off script and then they kind of throw it and they go, hey, why did you say that? You weren't supposed to do that.
Yeah.
And yeah, you know, and that kind of gets into another part of the podcast. So Aaron, I've had a nice, well, I shouldn't say nice. I mean, at first it was supposed to be nice adventure. Neil's one knows what I'm going to say.
With the glasses.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, this is not Specsavers love for me.
Do they have Specsavers in the States? You know Specsavers?
I don't know what it is. I don't know what you're referring to.
It's a glasses company. They like eyeglass company, Specsavers.
Oh, okay. A company that produces the glass, or it's like a store that sells
It's
the
a
glass?
store. It's a store. It's a
store.
big company. But
Yeah.
It's a huge company.
I don't
They
know.
just-
I don't know if they're in the States or not. I don't.
Maybe.
think so.
I mean, I don't specifically know. I mean, there's like lens crafters and like a store, glasses store. So, okay. Next thing I need to say
Similar.
before you. So, okay. So for next comment. Oh boy. Okay, go ahead. What happened at the glasses store? I can already tell. Something happened.
So yeah, so Specsavers acquired a company, and they were called Image Optometry. So the Specsavers is a huge company. They've grown, and they just want to grow so they can expand out. So what it was, I was already familiar with Image Optometry because I had dealt with them 5 years. Well, actually, now 6 years ago now, because now we're in 2023. Hard to believe it's already 2023. But so I'm wearing the original pair of glasses that I had back then. Well, these are still new to me because I had another pair, and they were transition lenses. Same prescription error, nothing different. Of course, I had somebody cut me off in my parking lot. I mean, literally, not even like 30 seconds from my door, in the driveway, and somebody cut me off just about a year and a half ago now, and down I went, face plant, slid right across the concrete, right onto the grass. We have a grassy area right in our front yard, but I slid right across there, and I managed to somehow push myself onto the grass. Put my hands around everywhere. Where's my glasses? First thing I thought, oh, my glasses fell off. Oh. I'm thinking my hand's kind of stinging. Okay, Brent, probably grazed your hand, whatever. So I'm looking around, my glasses, put my hands out across this grass, trying to feel, where are my glasses? Where are my glasses? Oh, there they are. Oh, it looks like one of my lenses must have popped out. Oh, okay, I can fix it later. I'll just take it into, image optometry, because it's still image optometry then. Well, surprise, surprise, Specsavers took over. Well, they said, unfortunately,
it's gonna be a problem next time.
It's gonna be a problem. And I'm looking at these frames, and they're all bent up to hell. They were completely shot, and I'm thinking, I'm not even gonna take them in, because they're gonna laugh at me. They're gonna look at these frames and say, Brent, I'm sorry, this is not no spaghetti episode or anything like that. Or a guy who throws his leg up in the overhead, right? I mean, this was one of those 1-0 situations. So they were scratched too. They were completely scratched to hell. Like, they were messed up so bad. And the one lens was just completely, like, the one that wasn't doing steroid, it was completely, looked like a cat had come across the lion and scratched it right up to complete. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to take it into an optical place. So, you know what I did? I took it in. I said, what can you do for me? I said, what can you do for me? They're like, oh my God.
That's his comedian. We got to get him on the cut. That delivery, that'll get you in Vegas. That delivery. God.
So they said to me, oh my gosh, what happened to you? Did somebody beat you up? No, the concrete did. So they said, oh my gosh, it looks like you need to get a new pair of glasses. Well, I will eventually, but don't worry, I got these ones, and these ones I've been wearing since. So that was just part of the base batter. It builds up. It builds up from there, Aaron. Oh yes. Oh yeah. So I went over about a year. I'm thinking, I'm just gonna tough it out. I didn't have transition on my glasses, and so these are my spare pair. Like, they gave me two pairs back then. So these are my ones they don't have transition on, and I thought, well, wing it, whatever. So. And for me, with my eye condition, these glasses work for me. So I decided last November, well, actually it was October, then I think I'm going to go and check out with Specsavers. So I went in and made an appointment. I went into a nearby Specsavers, and my roommate's mother basically said, hey, I've got a coupon. I've got a coupon here.
Oh no.
And I said, oh, okay.
That's going to be another problem.
Yeah, and it's 30% off. Oh yeah. So
there we go. Here's the problem, right around the corner. Coupon, baby. That's a problem.
Oh yeah. This is where the candle gets it.
Your glasses in 50 minutes, or it's free. Just like
pizza. This is the Roman candle that sits on top of the cake where it's going to explode. And oh boy, she exploded right at the representative. I'm sorry, ma'am, but we don't take that coupon. Why don't you take it? It says Specsavers. She says, and she says, it says right on it, it says Specsavers love. It had a little logo here, and it says guaranteed, satisfaction guaranteed. Mm-hmm. So her mother says, well, you're not going to take it? Well, no, we're all franchise owned and operated. So unfortunately, you're going to have to take it to the store that you got it from. She goes, Well, I live like a 2
Well,
hour
then,
drive from
well,
here.
then what the hell's the point of having the nationally recognized coupon then? The
Yeah.
whole point of the coupon is to be able to go into any establishment, any of those places, and get the same. Well, what
Yeah.
the hell?
So she says you can't take it here. Well, I want to speak to your manager. She goes, oh, I am the manager. Oh, you're the manager, so you can't override this. I'm sorry. Well, this guy here, he needs to make a an optical appointment. I go, well, maybe I should make it at the place where you got that coupon from. Well, that's his choice. Well, here's the problem. They don't have transit. It's going to take me 2 hour ride out to her community.
Paratransit.
Yep. So I said, okay. And she says, you know what? Brent, just make the damn appointment. She said, you know what? Here's the coupon. Keep it. She gives him the coupon. Keep it. No good to me. I don't need glasses. He needs glasses because he broke his pair. I go, yeah. Can't you tell? You know. So they basically made an appointment. They paid an appointment for me to see the eye doctor. So I said, well, here's where's your provincial health card? So here's my provincial health card, and it's a government card. Yeah, issued ID. So they get my card and they swipe it into their terminal, so it gives them authorization to bill my medical. So
And yes, that I know that becomes a problem. Yes, we have
Yep.
that.
So
That's a problem.
So they swipe it in and they say, hey, yeah, welcome, because they called me. They said, here's your appointment. I should come in. They swipe my card. So doctor, go in and see the doctor. But first, you need to do some pre-testing before you see the doctor. So you go to this machine. Can you see this little red ball right there? It's like a little roadway. Just keep watching it. Yeah, closer. Poof. And a poofing machine right in my eye. Oh, the girl goes, oh, Brent, I'm sorry. You jumped a little bit. I go, oh, well, the machine didn't work quite right. Well, let's try that again. Poof. I sound like somebody's just blowing some air right in my eye. I'm like, oh, Jesus. So I'm like, well, I guess that was a fun part, right? She goes, oh, no, there's another one where you're going to see a bunch of moving little stars, and you need to tell me how many are in there. I go, well, all these shapes. I go, okay, you lost me. I said, what is this, a puzzle or something? She goes, oh, you have a sense of humor. That's a good thing. I go, oh, I'm glad I do, because I know you don't.
She said, that reminds me of those captchas. You know those captchas on everything now? It's like, I can't read them.
Well, that's what they did to me.
Well, then you have to get an audio. I just get an audio challenge.
I know, but it's so stupid.
Yeah, but they had this one. It was like a sliding little line, and then this other one going up, and then you have to time it and say, okay, oh, yeah, there. So basically what it is, it's basically telling them of your reaction time on how fast you can see certain movement of objects, right? And I said, okay, oh, I missed that one. Oh, darn it. But I got, I'd say I got quite a few of them. And she goes, oh, wow, you did good. I go, amazing enough, right? I go, I guess I'm glad it's not timed. So I went and saw the eye doctor. Okay, so I went in to see this eye doctor, and he says, come into my office. He goes, have a seat. I go, which seat? So, of course, I was just being a clown. I sat down in the seat that he sits in. He goes, he goes, where am I going to sit? I go, well, in the patient chair. So anyway, him and I changed seats. I sat there. And so he says, do you do a lot of screen time? Do you do a lot of reading? I go, I try to listen to a lot of audio stuff instead. I blow up stuff on the screen for me to read a lot easier for small print. So he said, so you do a lot of screen time? I go, relatively, yes, but I blow things up. He goes, do you know that there are certain apps that you cannot blow up? I go, I'm well aware of that. He goes, so would you feel that you need a pair of reading glasses? I go, I use these as distance. I had a pair of reading glasses before, but they didn't work for me. So I just stick with a pair of distance ones, and I use it as multi-purpose. Whatever works for you, sir. Would you like a pair of reading glasses? We have a sale on. We have a Specsavers sale on. 2 for $149.
Oh, Lord.
So I said, I want one pair. I can use these as my reading glasses. I use the other ones as a transition pair. Oh, so you want transition in? I go, yes. And I don't need reading glasses. Oh, okay. Well, I'll put the other prescription on file for you. So he gets his exam done, and he's looking, goes, oh, I don't see any problems. There's no progression, no nothing. I go, I guess that's a good thing, eh, doc? He goes, that is a good thing, right? So I see that you do a lot of squinting, right? So I go, well, yeah, because the lines, the numbers and letters on your chart are pretty tiny for me to see. So that's why I'm squinting. I'm having trouble reading them. You're telling me to read further down on that chart. I can't see that. He goes, you can't see that? I go, no. I said, I can't see that. That's why I have an eye condition. I said, are you trained to know about my eye condition? No, I'm not. No, you're not. But you're the doctor. I'm the patient. That's okay. So
yeah. I mean, there's a lot of laughs to it, but there's a lot of that illustrates that's a serious problem.
I was looking at looking at the situation and listening very carefully, and I thought, wow. Like, I'm thinking, that's fine. Give me the prescription, and so that's fine. I left and I got into the waiting room. Like, they said, okay, come, and the girls will take care of you in the front of the office. So the lady was waiting for me, and she said,
"Was it the first waiting room or the second waiting room?"
Oh, it was the first one, and then I progressed my way to the second waiting room, where then they said, "Unfortunately, your office visit today wasn't covered. Your medical didn't cover your office visit."
I am beyond myself with shock. Oh my!
And I said, "Well, why is it not covered?" Well, the moral of that part of the story, Aaron, is that it wasn't covered because the office didn't have their business registered down like this. It's computer operated, so that the system automatically detects certain keywords. So their office wasn't registered down as a registered business of that the computer would pick up on. They had it as optical office. Well, you can't have it as an optical office. It has to be an optometrist or an ophthalmologist or something, or a dentist, like you know what I mean, like some kind of.
I mean, it doesn't surprise me, because an optical shop is not a doctor. An optical shop does not have medical knowledge. They have medical technology.
Right.
So this doesn't. I mean, this actually does. This part makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, and so they basically said, "Well, I'm sorry, you're going to have to pay $99." Wow. $99. Well,
you should have said. Well, that's a good thing too, because I still have a coupon for 30% off.
Well, I did. I said, I think it's on. I think it's on the counter somewhere. Oh, well, we threw it out. I said, well, darn it, I can't use that as a discount. So I forked it out, and temporarily. So so anyway, the insurance guy, they told me, well, you need to phone the insurance company, Aaron. They said, yeah, you need to phone them. And I thought, well, why do I need to phone the insurance company? I mean, that's up to them, I would think. But, okay, well, they told me to phone them and get it straightened out to get my money back. The insurance company told me, no, you don't need to be phoning us, sir. Who are you? What's your PH number? Or you have a PH number? What's your RX number? What? RX number? Are you not a doctor? I go, no, I'm not Dr. Brent. I said, I'm just the recipient. I'm the patient recipient. I'm not a doctor. Oh, are you calling from a doctor's office? I go, I'm not a doctor. I told you. Then why are you calling us? You can't be calling us. And so they basically followed up. And anyway, I got my money back. Long story on that. I got my money back. So the prescription was that I said, well, I want the transition in my prescription. I'm sorry, sir, but we can't do that either. Why? Well, because the curvature in your prescription and your lenses, it won't allow for the transition. But you can put a pair of clip-ons. I go, damn it! I said, I want that transition. I told the eye doctor that's what I wanted. Well, a 1.76 diameter, we could do it down to a 1.67. However, you won't really notice anything different. It won't be much difference at all. I mean, really? Yeah, I don't know. The other lady should have told you that. Yeah, we can do that. No problem. I go, any extra cost? No. It says there's no extra cost for you. Well, because I've been through enough already. Yeah, no problem. So I got the prescription, right? And she says, so wherever you decide to get it done, just keep in mind, you don't have to buy them here. You don't have to get your lenses here. You got the prescription, but keep in mind it can be done. So I went to Wally World. I decided to go to Wally World, Aaron. Well, I call it Walmart, Wally World. I give them my prescription at first. They look at it and they say, whoa, sir, no, we can't do that. You can't do your prescription here. That's way too high of a prescription. I go, well, I'm wearing my glasses now. What? Well, did you buy them here? I go, no, I got these at the company before Specsavers and Image Optometry. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. The lady knew. She says, "Oh, right. Yeah, they're out of business now. Specsavers bought them." I said, "Right, but I could get my prescription filled at Specsavers." Okay, well, this is Walmart. I go, right. I just want to see how much it would cost for me to get them down here. Well, we won't touch your prescription. Like the lab will not. They won't deal with
Yeah,
this.
yeah. Labs,
Yeah,
the glasses labs. Optometry labs are weird about certain prescriptions. Even in the
yeah,
states, they're weird with me too. They're weird about
yeah,
certain prescriptions.
yeah. They
Those
looked at
are-
it and she said, no, like they won't even touch it. They're like, yeah, that's a way too high of a prescription. I'm like, wow. I said, well, they got. Uh,
Well, I mean, all completely, completely not surprising. But I do have a question.
yeah,
So
yeah.
did you ever get your glasses?
Well, they,
Watch the
yeah.
video.
We're trying
Watch
we're
the
trying to
video.
find out about this here. Did you ever get
So
the glasses?
I did get my glasses, but now it's like the cat came back the very next day, and that's what kept happening is that the glasses kept coming back. It's like the cat did come back too, the glasses did too, but they went back, and they went back the very next day. So the moral of the story is that they came back with blue light on my glasses, and I didn't ask for blue light. The eye doctor never explained to me what blue light was all about. Could have done a demonstration, said, "Hey, will this work for you? What is blue light?" Nobody explained, and for me, it just kept bothering me everywhere I looked. I kept seeing blue light. I would do the podcast, and every time I look on the screen, I kept seeing a reflection of blue, 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 and it was bothering me everywhere I looked. And so yeah, they sent them back not once, twice, and then again they came back, and it was
Three
a curvature.
times.
Yeah, three times the charm, and they came back
Once,
with a curvature
twice, three
twice,
times
three
a
times,
lady.
lady.
And I
I
love
say I love
you.
you.
'Cause I once, twice, three times
Three times
Specsavers.
and they have a curvature on the cabinet at the very bottom. Well, yeah. When I said in the video is that the cabinet had a curvature on the bottom, and the lady sitting with at the store, and she says that cabinet has a curvature. I go, yeah. No, it doesn't, sir. It's straight. I go, right, and I'm looking at it with my glasses right now, like I'm wearing, and you don't see a curvature. I go, no, I don't. And you put the other ones on, the new ones on. Try your new ones on again. I go, okay. So I put my glasses on her table, my old ones, right, and they're fine. I put the new ones on. I went, whoa, whoa, and she's like, you okay? And I go, well, I feel like I'm drunk or something, like, or I haven't slept in like 2-3 weeks. She goes, whoa, okay, well, it's just going to take time for you to get used to them, sir. I go, but the cabinet looks curved on the bottom. And I go, what's funny is I can look at your lining on your floor right now, and they're supposed to be straight lines, and it looks like it's curving to the side. I said, I went down a stairwell when I tried them on the first time when I had them, and I felt like I was going to fall over. Like I felt like I was just partying all night or something, or I hadn't slept or something. I don't know. And so she's, okay, they're not going to work for you. I go, nah, evidently not. She goes, I tell you what, this is funny, Aaron. I'll tell you what, sir. I'm going to go and my roommate had a problem with her glasses too at the same time. Hers, she kept getting reflective lights on hers. Okay, you two just sit here. I'm going to talk to my manager and see what we can figure out for you. Comes back. Okay, so the manager has a solution. Okay, and this is her solution, not mine. I go, okay. I think what we can do so that the curvature that you're seeing, sir, is we can bend the glasses. We can bend them right in as a circular motion, so that then you try them on and then you won't see the curvature. I go, are you freaking kidding me? Are you kidding me? Bend the glasses right in so that they're curved? How are they gonna fit on my face? I'm not sure. The manager suggested that. I go, right. And I said, and a UFO is going to fly over my head at any time right now, and the little Martians are going to come out and take me into their spaceship. We're going to fly away to La La Land, right? Okay, so it's not going to work for you? I go, no, it's not going to work for me. I didn't think so. I go, you know what? I just want my money back. So the end of that is that I'm wearing my original glasses, and I didn't have a Specsavers love experience.
Yeah.
That's a fascinating. It's both a fascinating story and a utterly compelling comedy routine, definitely. But
Yeah.
none of it surprised. I mean, that's how it is in the States too. They're
Yeah.
weird with prescribing. They're weird about a lot of weird little stuff like that. You
Well,
know?
what was it was just beyond me is that she says, but you seem fine with wearing your glasses now. I go, correct. I'm surprised that you can even see anything without your glasses. I go, don't ask me to read anything because I will not be able to read any small print at all. Oh, okay.
Right,
But I'm
right.
surprised you can see anything with your current prescription. I go, I don't know what they happened with that other prescription. So what they did, Aaron, is they combined a reader pair of glasses. They were high powered so that it would blow up the font size. So instead of small, big. And they combined distance for viewing for distance. They combined it all into one. So my prescription for glasses was amplified like over like 3 times what it should have been. So
Crazy.
no wonder they look at the prescription. Whoa, sir, the lenses were thicker than thick. And it reminded me when I was a kid, they used to call them bottle type glasses. Yeah, and they were heavy. Like they were heavy glasses. And I was like, wow, like what the heck?
Right.
But
right,
you know what?
yeah.
You know what? This is one of those stories that also highlights. We always talk about lived experience on your show, right?
Yes.
And there's you know, you have all those experts that are saying like whether they're optometrists or politicians that they're standing up as experts saying, this is what you need, Brent. This is what you need.
Yeah.
You need reading glasses, or you need whatever, right? And
Yeah.
they're the so-called experts, but they're not. They're discounting the lived experience of you being the expert for your own disability, right? And
Well,
and I
yeah.
think that's a real disconnect there, right?
Well, yeah, because I mean, it's like I know, what works good for me, and it's like saying, well, here I can give you an adaptive screen, Brent. I can blow it up so big that you can you don't have to do anything. Well, it may not work good for you, or you're getting a bunch of words on the screen. Well, now you lose track to where you are on the screen, right? It's everybody, their needs are what their needs are. It works good for them, and that was such a bad experience. I mean, I turned it into a comical situation at the same time. But in all seriousness, like, it was like waiting over 2 weeks for them. Oh, there's a delay in them shipping it out, and then I had to go back and forth on the ferry, Aaron, too. Like, and it was like expensive, like $78. I mean, technically, it shouldn't have cost.
I thought it was 30% off. What are you talking about $78 for?
Well, it's just like yeah. I mean, well, when you travel on the ferry, like it's
He has to take a ferry to get over to the mainland.
Oh, I understand.
Yeah.
I was just hoping you still use that coupon for something else to worry about the 30% off and not worry
I
about
was
the
hoping
ferry.
to keep
It's a
it
universal coupon for everything. just apply it across the
Exactly.
board. Yeah.
Yeah. Why not? It's that love you spread across. Give it to one and give it to all. And but I mean, because when I say that, people say, "What? $78?" Well, yeah, because by the time you go there and you come back, and then it's a 6-hour trip from my door to actually minus 5 minutes. Okay, so
And then you got to pay. You got to pay for white spot.
well, then you got to buy some eat on your way back, right? And so I actually had the optical department. They actually said, "Well, what can we do for you? We'll give you 25% off." I said, "Well, that pays for one of my round trips pretty well, almost covers it. It's like almost 80 something, right?" So, I mean, if you didn't buy a drink, you didn't buy anything to eat. I mean, sure, you could do it. You could do it a lot cheaper, 40 something dollars, right, or $45. But yeah, I mean, it's but I mean, that's just part of the experience on it. And then so finally they just said, well, we're going to ship it out. We're going to ship the glasses out to your local store. That's why I'm thinking, yay, good. They come out here. And I already knew that they were going to be buggered up. I had said to Neil, you watch, they're going to do something. They're going to do something. They're going to be buggered up. So I met up with Sonia's parents, and they had come and dropped off some things for her. And Sonia's sister, she's a dog groomer. So her dad had to come out to Victoria because that's the only place they can pick up some equipment that her sister needed. So she says, well, why are you coming out to Victoria? Well, because we have to pick up something for your sister. Do you mind? And we want to take you both out for lunch. I'm like, hey, am I going to say no? Don't take me out for lunch? Sure. I mean, so we went out, and her dad right away, he was involved from day one about these glasses. And he's like, so what's going on, Brent? What's going on with the glasses? And he says, is it Specsavers love, or do they not love you anymore? And I said, they don't love me anymore. I think they want me to go away. And he goes, well, then you know what? I anticipate that there's going to be a problem when the glasses arrive. Guess what? Send them back. Just get rid of it. Go and find deal with it somewhere else. So I've got my prescription, but here's the thing. They're going to have to basically give me a whole brand new test at some other place. Because, again, I've got my written prescription, but no optical place is going to take that, right? So, yeah. And I think it's better, so I'm just going to take my time and find another place to go and get a brand new eye test done. Then I have to hope that the medical is going to cover it, though, because they've already paid to have the test done in the first place.
And that's attempt number 4.
That'll be
attempt number 4. So it'll be like one of those jokes of like, how many times do you have to go to the optometrist to get glasses?
That'll
be a Breaking with Brent segment for sure.
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't surprise me. Not even a bit. Getting glasses is a major routine. So,
well, and people ask me like, what happened? So like, and I would do a Breaking with Brent segment. I did part of the journey on the first part, and then the second one I just put out recently. And they say, wow. So when people go back and they re-listen to this podcast, they're going to get the story and go, wow, I didn't know you had gone through all that hassle. I mean, and phone calls and, oh, yeah, we'll text you and when they're ready. And, oh, we're keeping you in the loop and all this stuff. And, and nothing. It's just for me, it was a bad experience. Maybe for some other people, they may find Specsavers perfectly fine for them. For me, I know I won't be dealing with Specsavers again, because it was just a bad experience for me.
Absolutely. Some of the experiences we have with these companies are so poor that you can't even give them a second chance because the experience was so poor. That happens a lot. Yeah.
Well, and that's what some people would say. They would watch the podcast and they'll say, "Oh, you're just trashing Specsavers." Well, for me, like on a personal level, just for me, I had a bad experience. But like for some people, they may be fine. Like they may say, "Hey, I never had a problem." I mean, but yeah, for me, the ordeal went through.
Totally unnecessary.
It caused me a lot of anxiety and stress, and then I've been dealing with enough on my household, dealing with my neighbor upstairs on top of that, and
let's talk about that. So what's going on with your neighbor?
Okay, well, my neighbor like open and close his door all the time, and he goes out and he does some things that irritate other neighbors around the area. He smokes and he does his drugs on patio. Well, it floats into the unit here. It floats to other units. It's strictly not allowed on the property, on the premise. It's a policy. He's breaking the policy, so they're trying to get him out. And it's hard. They're giving him warnings. So they're going through a process right now of trying to get the tenant out. He stomps around on his feet. We have creaky floors, or original hardwood floors. So every time you move around, it creaks. So now he deliberately stands in one spot on the floor, just to irritate me. But I got the management recently saying, "Well, hey, so we got another unit down the hallway, 2 doors down from you. There's a lady that's going to be moving." And I'm like, "Oh. Okay." So we had picked up a notice to basically end tenancy, and they freaked. They're like, "Well, why do you need this form? Because you have to go to their office to get it." Well, we marched down there, Aaron, right to their head office. "I need a form to end tenancy." "What for? What building?" They're just a receptionist. She didn't know. And so as soon as we told her, "Oh, hang on." So she goes to get another lady. So another lady comes walking out. "Can I help you?" And she looked familiar. I just didn't know where I knew her from. And then she says, "Yeah, my name is Rose." "Oh, hello, Rose." I said, "Rose," I said, "you're just a rose petal, right?" I said, "Hey, hang on, Rose." I said, "Not from the Titanic, right, Rose?" She looks at me and she says, "I'm not, it hasn't been 84 years, Brent." So, And people who watch who saw the Titanic, right? They'll say 84 years. They'll say, oh, wait a minute, where did you get that line from? So, yeah, anyway, she took it seriously. So she knew that we meant business, right? I said, well, we got to do something with this tenant. Either he goes or we go. So all of a sudden, the head honcho comes out of nowhere. Wow, I'm not embarrassed, but I guess I was kind of shocked because I guess he heard the conversation, which I didn't realize. He comes up and he says, so, yes, it's a serious thing that's going on. We need to make you realize that, or make you understand that it's not an easy process to get the person evicted out. There was other issues going on. And they said there's other issues that are going on and they couldn't talk to me about it. Ongoing investigation, shall we say. And so I said, so I kind of pressed the issue a little bit, but they couldn't go anywhere with it. Unfortunately, they didn't want to go with it. And I understood that. So they said, we have a unit that's coming available. There's a lady that's going to be moving out. And I thought, well, maybe he got the wrong unit because he had gone through inspections throughout the building. We have 4 floors here. So, and he kept saying the 3rd floor. And I kept, okay, maybe he meant he's talking a different unit. So, no, then I found out which unit it is. Long story is I know which unit it is, but he kept referring to another floor. So I saw this lady, she was crunched over in a walker. She was bent over sideways, walking along. And I see her all the time, and she hoards things in her unit. She's a hoarder. She's a big-time hoarder. So she's bent over, and nice lady, though. I really respect her. Really super nice to talk to. She sits on a bench, and so I was just locking my door one day, Aaron, and I looked over.
Hold on just one second, guys. One second.
Yep.
One second. Hold
on. And I will continue that part in about the lady in the walker when Aaron gets back. But it'll be he'll find it quite humorous for sure. Yeah, I mean, and it is like anyone watching this, they're gonna say, "What? Well, what's going on?" Well, while I'm waiting for Aaron to come back, and we have a neighbor upstairs, and it's unfortunately you give them notices and enough warnings. Ammunition to build up a case, right? There's an ongoing investigation going on, and I can't even I don't even know all the facts, so I can't even get into it because people are gonna be like, "Oh my gosh, what are you going through here, Brent?" I want to just be happy. I just want to live in a place where it's nice and quiet, and I don't want to be having to be harassed by a neighbor who deliberately is opening, closing his balcony, doing what he wants to do because he doesn't feel he wants to follow policies. So, it gets to a point where, it's a very uncomfortable situation having to keep my windows closed. I mean, I shouldn't have to do that, right? So we've been offered another unit in the building, but we have to pay more money, right? And that's the sad part. The going price of rent is much higher. So it's either we take it or we leave it, or we leave the building and pay for a moving company. The government won't pay for moving costs unless the rent is lower, right? Where are you going to find rent that's lower? So here comes Aaron, and I'm going to continue on.
So, yeah, no, I just heard a weird noise I heard a weird alarm on my phone. I don't know what that was. Some sort of Amber Alert is what it said, or weather alert. And then I realized
it was me, Aaron. It was me, Aaron. I was sending
that was you?
Code. I was sending you a Morse code.
Yeah, blame Brent.
It was me. I was sending you a Morse code. No, it wasn't.
Blame Canada.
Oh.
Canada's to blame for everything.
Actually, I am. By the way, I do have a ham radio license. I'm an amateur radio operator. So that's
nice.
Yeah, I just got my license. Nice. But no, I don't know, some alarm went off. I don't know what it was. Anyway, though. So, okay, back to the lady pushing the walker sideways.
So the lady's, she's walking with a stroller, and she's bent over sideways, and she has super long hair. So I was just locking my unit door. I was actually having to go to the grocery store, which is not too far from here. It's convenient. It's across the road. But it's a local grocer. So it's fairly reasonable for produce. Other items in there are pretty expensive. So it's kind of needs, you just get what you need, right? But otherwise, I go to a regular grocery store. It's cheaper take a bus ride or walk. So anyway, I was just going out, and she was walking by, and I go, "Hello, neighbor." She goes, "Hello." She whips her hair. Her hair goes flying over to the side of her face. It's like, oh man, I thought maybe she was going to whip me with her hair. Just whoosh. And she's like, oh, how are you? And I said, good. I said, I hear you're going to be moving soon. Guess you're getting ready to pack up. Excuse me? She says, excuse me? What are you talking about? And I said, you're moving. I heard you're moving soon. Who told you that? And she gave me an evil eye, Aaron. She gave me an evil eye where one eye just kind of, opened a little bit wider than the other one. And she kind of raised her eyebrow at me. She says, what are you talking about, mister? Where did you hear that from? And I went, whoa, okay. Management told me that you're moving. I said, I said, between you and I said, I'm keeping it quiet. She goes, well, this is news to me because I don't know anything about this. I thought, okay, Brent, maybe you screwed up. And you got the wrong apartment, the wrong lady. I said, well, you know what? Hey, maybe you got the wrong apartment. So you have a great day. Nice to see you again. She goes,
remove foot from mouth.
I thought, Brent, you put your foot in the wrong place here. Foot and mouth. Repeat, rinse, repeat. Nope. So she said, you have a nice day too, sir. I go, oh boy. So what was ironic here, okay, is I went down the stairs and I'm not wearing my new glasses because I didn't have my new glasses. They were there, I hadn't, because they were supposed to be sent out to me. So I thank God I wasn't wearing those, Aaron, because I would have been stumbling over my own feet trying to walk down the stairs. They would have been all lopsided, curved, eh? So I made my way down the stairs, and my manager's down there. My manager's on the first floor. She was on her phone, and I guess business, because they come and they cater to the each apartment. They run about 9 of them, so they just come and go, right? So she goes, hello. I go, hey, how are you? And she goes, great. I go, so I just saw the neighbor upstairs. The lady walks over. She's kind of bent over with her walker. Oh, yes. Isn't she just a sweet old lady? I go, isn't she? Yeah, right. I just bumped into her. She goes, well, I hope you didn't bump into her. I go, well, not literally bumped into her. I would have knocked her over. No. She goes, did she bump into you? I go, no. But figure of speech. So she says, well, what happened? I said, well, apparently she's not moving. She goes, oh, she's moving. She just doesn't know that she's moving. I said, oh. She says, we've already talked to her and she doesn't remember, or she doesn't recall that she's moving, but she's moving. Oh, okay. So I got the right unit. Yeah, maybe try it another day.
That's odd. That's an oddity.
But anyway, so we're basically offered her a unit once she moves out, but it has to get renovated. Now the question is, how much renovation needs to be done? She's been there quite a while. Now, put a little bit of paint on the wall, done, fully renovated, or you have a new cabinets in, new flooring in. But here's the thing, we have to pay higher rent. If we want that unit, we're going to have to pay higher rent. Now, it's going to take a while to renovate that unit. She's moving out end of February of 2023. So it won't be ready until April right. 1st. I mean, it might be sooner. And then if it is, well, I mean, if I decide to take it, I have to let them know before February 28th, because we still have to give notice in here, sign a new lease, but it could be a month to month, or it might be a lease. Now it's up to the owner itself, which the owner had been in contact with me about it. So I have to, that's kind of where it's at. The rent, unfortunately, it's, we're going to be getting a rent increase here.
What is rent in the States? Has it gone up in the last couple of years?
Probably. I don't know. I'm starting to look into this. The answer is every property is set up a little bit different. It just depends on, ultimately, like we're talking about here, it's always about, well, who are the personalities behind the operation? That's what it always is about. Right.
And then that's kind of here, like they give you 3 months in advance notice for a rent increase. So we'll be getting one either probably say before the end of this month, I'm guessing. And it's 3 months in advance. So I'll be getting a rent increase notice, and it's at 2%, right? So it's it's not a lot, so it's going to push us up. We'll be paying. They said they're going to rent it for $1,700. They'll give it to us for $1,600 because of all the hassle that we've been having to go through, right? And I thought, but here's the funny thing is, we'll give it to you for that price, $1,600. But I move out of my unit, they're going to be happy I move out because now they can rent this unit for $1,700. They want to get the guy out upstairs, $1,700, and he's paying $900 right now. So no wonder they want to get him out, and they want to get me out.
And they still, but don't forget about our little old lady who pushes the walker. We still have to get her out, and she's going to be really hard to get out, considering that she can't remember to get out. So
that's right.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe
go ahead, Neil. Looks like you're looking at some stats up there, some comments or some clocks.
No,
what's going on up there, man?
I was just gonna do the comparison of $1,600 Canadian. What that is for American dollars.
Right.
And that's 1,600 Canadian to American is roughly about $1,200 in American dollars.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah.
So I just wanted to do a quick conversion for our listeners there.
Yeah, and the listeners would be kind of looking at going, wow, $1,600. Now, here's the thing in Victoria. The recent stats that came out, they said Vancouver, BC, Canada, was one of the highest rent in Canada, and then it came to Toronto and then Victoria. So when they come out with these stat numbers, I mean, they could be off by $1, $2 off each one. But hey, you just made the top of the list here, right? Like right now, if I was outside of this building, the average rent is actually for anywhere from like over $2,000. Now this company that I rent from, they keep the prices relatively at an average, but this is an older building, right? And it's a tough call because I need to be around accessible transit and around grocery stores while I'm not going too far, like traveling across the whole city, and be able to get on and off transit easily. Luckily for me, I got a transit stop just down the road from here, so it's actually convenient. I'm on a main bus route, so I've got 2 buses that I can catch, and I walk up a block, I got another one to catch, right? Or 2 other buses to go down the opposite road going downtown, so which is good. So relatively, the rent's gonna be paying. I'll be paying more, like $94 more after I get my rent increase from this current unit. So $94 each, right? My roommate and I will be paying that. So she says, well, why don't we just wait until provincial budget day and see what the government's going to increase? So I asked my manager that equation. She goes, you need to look at what you can afford now. Don't worry what the government is going to do or what they're not going to do. You need to look at what you can afford going forward. If the government gives something, great. That's a bonus for you. So that's true. Like I have to look at that. And there is a place out in where I grew up, Aaron, and the community is so wonderful. Now, the going price for the rent out there is $1,950. But since I don't drive, I can't drive because of my vision.
And you'd be closer to me, Brent.
Yeah, I'd be closer to you. They said, well, give it to you for $1,890. I said, well, I mean, a person who can't even read the signs far enough away, I don't think it would be safe for me to be driving. What do you think? She goes, oh, God. I said, I said, the motor vehicle branch won't get me a license. I mean, geez. I don't think that would work too well. But what do you think, Aaron, on that one?
I mean, I think what you need to do is you need to get into the car. Okay, dust the glasses off. Get the cat away. Don't scratch the glasses. Don't bash your head on the concrete getting into the car, which you probably would end up doing. Okay, with the luck that you have and have not have. Okay, with everything that has come upon you, you would manage to do that. What you do is you hold the steering wheel with one hand, and then with the free hand, you reach up and you bend the glasses. And if you bend the glasses, no, trust me. Trust me, I saw this on YouTube. It was being promoted by a politician on YouTube. I'm sure it works. It's gotta work. It's on YouTube. It's gotta. Okay. So you see, there's a YouTube video with this type of thing, right? So if you just bend the glasses, you'll be able to see just enough to drive the car. And I think what percentage? I think 30% better. Okay. So earlier today I gave you 30% off. Okay. Now we're getting 30% better. Okay. Really, just try it. Okay. But
and
really,
your glasses in 15 minutes, or they're free, just like the pizza.
right? Exactly. Exactly.
But talking about luck too, like Brent's had his ordeal, but I broke a hip.
Yes.
Back at the end of January. I'm almost 55 years old, and I've never broken anything. This is the first time I've broken something, and because I'm on crutches and I have cerebral palsy, so it's actually pretty common to fall. But I've always been a pretty good faller. Like I always think of myself as kind of having that spidey sense, like Spider-Man, having that sense of like, oh, I'm gonna fall and be ready for it. This time I fell and I was totally not ready for it, and I fell and I broke my hip, and it's like, wow. So I'm recovering now with a broken hip, but I got it repaired though. So
no, that's a serious injury. That one's no laughing matter. That really hurts.
No.
That really a joint replacement is always
well, actually, in this case, actually, they didn't replace the joint. All they did was he took a few screws and just screwed everything back, because he said the bone actually was all good. He just screwed it all back into place. He said you should be fine.
Mm-hmm.
So no replacement actually. So that's good. Original bone.
That's really Oh, that's really good. Your body will heal.
Yeah.
The human body heals miraculously. Really, when you think
really
about
does,
it.
yeah.
A lot of times we could heal from a lot of things. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, for sure. And I find life is just so full of different experiences, right? And that's what the theme that when I do my shows is all about lived experience, right? And what I've gone through, what you've gone through, Aaron. I mean, where you're going through, and what Neil's going through. And I look at, kind of when I was just talking about another option down the hall, right? I mean, there's pros and cons, right? The one good thing is that I ideally, if I can get it as a month to month with no lease, and I keep an opportunity for looking at moving to the mainland, right? Then that would be what I would like to do. Of course, I'm not going to tell the management that, right? Saying, hey, give me month to month, and then I can just get the hell out of here when I need to. But if it's temporary, where there's no moving company, no moving costs, right? I have to move myself. Well, move the furniture. I don't know. Just heave it over the top of my shoulder, right? It's carried along. Imagine carrying a couch.
But your couch will have a curvature in it, Brent.
It'll have a curvature, though. But maybe it'll turn through the door really easy that way, right? Yeah. And they'll say, what? I'll say, well, this is the Specsavers way. I mean, it curves, right? Hey, I've never seen these curves, right?
Oh, God. Usually what we do in the States is you get a moving truck, and you just load all the things onto a truck and then push all the stuff back in. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, we've got like a U-Haul here, right? I mean, company, but yeah, it's a big expense. See, here's the problem though, which I was gonna mention when we had that little break there. So how it works is that if there's a place that a disabled person in our province, I don't know about other provinces. I think Ontario is similar to BC. They tend to kind of copycat back and forth on certain policies, not all policies. So people that are watching this, they say, no, hang on, you're comparing BC to Ontario to BC, or Alberta's in their own jurisdiction and other provinces. But there's a lot of policies that are the same, and I used to talk about this on my show a lot.
Here's a test for Aaron.
Yeah.
Name the provinces of Canada. How many provinces can you name in Canada?
That's actually interesting. So I know. Don't do it. Well, I know Americans know. Okay, I really don't know very well. I mean, of course, I know about the one that Americans know just because of the way the ancient First Nations language it has a weird name. Saskatchewan, we know that
Right.
word.
Yeah.
We know that one. We know Ontario, Saskatchewan. I don't know. Americans wouldn't know any others. We know about the main cities. You got Montreal, Quebec, Toronto, Edmonton, Vancouver. A couple islands, but
Victoria.
Americans. Americans don't
Brad.
know a lot of those places. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we got. Well, I mean, you got. Go through all the provinces. I mean, it used to be drilled on that when I was a kid, but I mean, I'm the same way when it comes to all the U.S. states, right? I mean, there's a lot of U.S. states.
Yeah, we got 50
52.
of them.
Huh?
50.
Yeah.
50.
50, yeah.
50, yeah.
50.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, and that's I mean, trying to name all those off, but I wouldn't be able to do that either.
This feels like an episode of Jeopardy now.
Yeah, Jeopardy. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And so when I mentioned about moving, it comes down to the government says, hey, yeah, if you can find a place cheaper than what you pay now, we'll move you. Cheaper? In what decade? What decade? Because you can't find more cheaper. I said this to my manager. I was joking with her about that. She goes, okay, where are you going to find cheaper? You can't find cheaper. I go, well, that's what they say. If you find cheaper, then you're going to have to really, really worry. Is it going to be infested with rats, cockroaches, bed bugs, and you name it? There's going to be a problem. If it's a lot cheaper, you get what you pay for, right? The markets are so saturated right now where they're overinflated. So what you really are paying for, I mean, like this place here, when I moved into it, it's not worth the price that it's what they're asking for, right? Like I mentioned, the lady who's bent over, right? I know how much she's paying. And I don't mind
I'm glad you know because she's probably forgotten.
Well, yeah, she's already forgotten that, but the management told me what she's paying, and my jaw dropped. She's been there for a long time. How much you think she's paying?
Let me take a guess. Probably like 3,000.
Oh no. She's paying $860.
Wow.
Oh my God.
And so they can get $1,700 for her unit. That's why they're really happy that hey, if you want to move into that, if you move to that unit, we'll give it to you for $1,600. But hey, you move out, and they're probably thinking, he's going to take the unit. Now we can make $17 on his unit. We'll make $1,700 on the guy upstairs who's doesn't even know what city he's probably living in, let alone But or maybe here's another theory, Aaron. Maybe he's not even moving. Maybe he's not moving.
Well, no. I mean, it's hard to. What happens in the States, usually if you have a neighbor that's that bad, is the person that's not the problem neighbor ends up moving away from the crazy person. Because
Right.
the energy and the risk and the danger that goes involved. I mean, when someone wants to use drugs on their property and they think they're allowed to do it, I mean, you definitely have to. In the States, we would tell people, no, do not get involved. Just mind your own business. It's not worth it. The chance of you getting hurt in the process of trying to reason with the person outweighs the chance of the person agreeing with you. So, unfortunately, a lot of times we just let it go. We just say, well, I'll just go inside and not worry about it. And, you only worry about it when it becomes a disaster. And, well, you should have worried about, well, we get into these ruts in America. But removing people from property is unfortunate. It does happen every day. But it's just not, everybody gets upset. It's always an issue.
Yeah.
It's always a drama, no matter what,
Well, here it can take up to 3-4 months to see once an eviction notice has been given. It can take up to a lot longer, and if the person disputes it, it can now prolong it even longer. So, I think they just want to keep us happy, and they said, I mean, they can get us into one of their other rental properties, no problem, but they don't have an elevator. So their recommendation is, I mean, it's a nice quiet area, and I've seen the area of the building. It's nice and quiet, opposite side. So unfortunately, I tried to say, well, how about if I pay the same rent I'm paying now? Sorry, we can't do that.
Yeah, well, I understand each property in America, every single unit is a slightly different arrangement. So that,
Yeah,
that I see what they're saying. I mean, yeah. Mm-hmm.
yeah. I mean, it's one of those things, and I mean, it's just the way I look at it, Aaron. If I were to move out of this place, it's going to be a lot more anyway. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to looking at the pros and cons, and then I'm going to try to see if I can save up and move over to the mainland because they got better transit and everything's around, and I can be closer to
And again, you'll be closer to me.
and Neil it does the live broadcast shows
There
right.
you go. We're getting close to the end of the hour here.
Yeah.
So I have been looking at the chat. Basically, people are making funny comments about this whole episode is like an episode of watching Seinfeld.
Yeah, basically.
That's been the comments in the chat. So there hasn't been a lot of like really constructive comments. Just a lot of Seinfeld comments. But yeah, we got about 50 minutes left. So I just want to know if there's any comments coming in from the chat, or if maybe Aaron has more questions for us, or.
Yeah, well, I mean, one, well, I do have a question that I'll ask you when you turn off the recording while I have you.
Okay.
Only because it's about another future guest that I want to have on the show, but they're also from Canada. Yeah.
Okay.
But outside of it, I mean, I would just say thank you. I mean, you guys. I really want to say that lately, one thing that has been bothering me, and I'm sure you guys have been getting it too, you alluded to it earlier today, is that we've been getting a lot of, in the community, we've been getting a lot of hateful comments around the blindness community.
Yeah.
And I'm just glad that neither one of you participates in the hatred and that both of you are in support of what I do and I support what you do. And, it gets old because there have been a lot of weird comments that people have been making about Aaron's opinion. And I'm just glad that I have the support up there. So thank you. And I'm sure that you guys have been dealing with some weird people too these days.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of people ask me, Aaron. Well, I mean, thank you. Like, and we support you too on that. We echo what you're going through, because we decided to launch the Twitter space, as people know it, the Canadians with Disabilities and their Allies. We've decided to launch it this way, and the shows are going this way, and then we're going to be launching like an open mic type session, and I think sometime this month we're going to be launching it. I know that we're working on it, so it's going to be great. But we decided to do it this way because it actually gives more accessibility for people with disabilities. They can use different devices, whatever works good for them, and they can access it this way, and it's better. A lot of people don't realize. Well, yeah, it was a narrative, unfortunately, that kind of worked for people with the Twitter space. A lot of people don't know, Aaron. I mean, I was actually harassed, and I don't mind letting people know about it, right? Because they're going to listen to the podcast. They're going, oh my God, I didn't know that. So, and I'm open and honest. Some people were shocked. They're like, I didn't know that. And I don't talk about it a lot, but I will talk about it to you. I was verbally harassed. I was threatened. I was harassed. It got to a point where somebody had phoned me anonymously several times. It got to a point where there was an ending point where somebody had called also, and it was just threw it right over the edge. I finally then changed my number. But it was somebody had phoned at first and said, I know who you are. I know where you live. And the scary part was they actually said my address.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they said to me, I actually seen you. I've seen you walking along. Right. And they said, just, you need to focus on making more life, more, lived experience. They said, because if you don't, they said, you're going to have lived experience. And I was like, what the hell? Like, I was like,
what?
Okay, this thing, like I was kind of getting me
Well,
really.
let's even rewind the string, rewind the tape a little bit. What? I'm just curious. I'm fascinated by what was the person's beef in the first place? Like, how did they become so enraged that they had to call you? And what started it?
Well, you know what? I'm just going to interrupt a little bit. Like, what bugs
Yeah.
me about the whole thing, Aaron, is people that, there's people that call themselves advocates out there, like PWD advocates.
Yeah.
There's people that call themselves advocates, but yet they say, well, if you're not advocating in this particular way, you're not an advocate. If you don't say exactly what I think, you're not an advocate. And I think that's just terrible. Like, the whole idea about advocacy is that we're supposed to be all pulling on the same rope. We're all supposed to be pushing the same rock up the hill. We're all supposed to be united, right? But there's so much advocacy or advocates out there that are counterproductive, and they're ripping apart things, right?
Oh yeah.
Rather than being constructive, they're ripping things down and saying, if it's not my way, I'm going to burn it down because your way sucks. That's basically what they're saying, and so that really bothers me. Anyway, I'll let you continue, Brent.
Yeah.
I just wanted to interject.
Well, I was just wondering where the beef even started, like what triggered it in the first place.
Well, I think some people were upset because the narrative that maybe they're jealous. Maybe they were jealous that I was getting on different wonderful different guests coming on, and I think they wanted their playroom. They wanted whoever it was. And I still don't know who it was, but maybe they wanted their playroom of okay, well, I got a guest on. Well, now I wanted to have my spot to have what I want to talk about, not with what I wanted to set the agenda was for. And the problem is that we decided when we were doing Neil would do the breakdown of the editing, right, for the show, and it was brought to my attention, and I agree with. Like, I let and I shouldn't have, and that was my fault. I take blame because I let the Twitter space go open mic, let it go for hours and hours and hours and hours. I got earful from my roommate, like, please shut it down. Yeah, just a little bit longer. Hours went by. But the thing is that, and then Neil would say, I told you from day one. I told you, don't.
I told Brent from day one, I said, make it like an hour, 2 hours maximum, and Brent kept making them longer, and then you'd lose control of the show that way, right? Yeah,
but what happened is that I kept hearing from people saying, "Don't worry, it's all under control. We got it. Like you go and do live your life, and you go and have dinner, wash your dishes, go for a walk, whatever you need to do. Go to the grocery store." I think there was one day, Neil, I think I went to the grocery store, and I had it going for 2 hours. Like, it was all under control. So I thought I'd come back, and I got all these messages. My direct messages were lit up. My notifications were all like nonstop. People going, Brent, please do something. And people were coming in. They were bombarding the show. They were hijacking it. They were trying to the narrative that they wanted was what they wanted. And so I got feedback, and so I had to kind of do an overview of it. And I said, okay, I'm going to have to do something. So there was one day I came on and I said, well, so we're going to maybe change things up. And then I said, and I re-corrected myself. I said, maybe. And I thought, no, I'm going to be changing things up. And they said, oh, I go, so when I have guests on, they're not going to be more than 2 hours, right? Because the segments, and that was kind of a hint to them of saying, we're going to be narrowing it down, meaning the Twitter space was going to be narrowed down too. And when I said to guests, oh no, I got feedback, I got kickback. No, you can't do that. You can't tell the guests how long they can be on for. Well,
yes, you can.
You can. Will. Yeah, you can. And it was a narrative, and that's what I mean. And so then it told me that there was a narrative that was getting used, and I didn't know what was going on. And one day I said, I'm going to go and have dinner now, and I had an inkling, so I muted my mic. And I sat there, and I thought, okay. And I was getting dinner, but I was right in earshot. So I sat there and I listened. Okay, so he's gone now. Oh, okay. Well, you know what? Like the guest that he had on, blah 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 blah. It was just a bunch of BS. And I don't appreciate the guest, someone talking on behalf of me as I'm a disabled person. And I thought, whoa. And I thought, thank God I didn't record that session. You know why? Because one of my guests, Aaron, came on to that open mic later. Like they came on and I thought, oh my God. And then they were still talking about it, and the guest did come on. And I thought, because my intuition thought, oh God, please don't have that guest come on. Guess what? The guest came on. I came back.
Anyway, well, that's very frustrating, but yeah, I can understand how that would kind of get out of control. I mean,
it did. And so I had
yeah,
overview of it, right? And I looked at it and I thought, you know what, I'm going to clean up this because the reputation is what I'm doing the podcast. This is how the narrative that I want and going forward. And everyone loves it. Like there was people that no, you're not. This is silly. You're making the wrong decision. No, I'm not. You know, and this is the show, and having wonderful people coming on like yourself.
Right. I mean, the guest should always be the star, right? I mean,
oh, for sure,
yeah,
always.
And
always.
that's the thing is that it.
I just say that's the way the cookie crumbles.
You know, when you were on Twitter Spaces.
Yes.
It started to get the guest was kind of pushed to the side a little bit, and we want to get it back to where the guest is the star of the show.
The guest is the center.
Yeah. It should always be that way. The audio is better on Zoom and Skype. It's nice to be able to have the video too, which is nice. We've got about 4 more minutes to the end of the hour, so I didn't know if you wanted to share any. I'm going to be putting links into the description, Aaron.
that's fine. We're ready to,
yeah.
No, guys can just go click on the links. And Neil knows what links to include.
Yeah.
And just thanks for having me, guys. You guys are doing a great job.
Yeah.
And just keep doing it like this with other guests, because this format, this is really productive. So just keep on keeping on. It's all going to be fine. Yeah.
Oh, well, and Aaron, it's always so wonderful having you on, and I want to, in the near future, I would like to reach out and I'll have you back on as a follow up, and every so often I do that, and I reach out and have guests come on, and because I enjoy having you on, and we'll talk about other fun things, adventures in life that maybe. I mentioned about the spaghetti episode before. I talked about the guy who took his leg off and decided to stretch his legs out and threw up on the overhead.
Yeah, we're gonna have to get you more material. That's used up. That material.
And now we talk about the
glasses.
The glasses, right? So
I wonder if we can get DJ Starks to come on.
Yeah, wouldn't that be? That would.
Oh, Akil, yeah.
Akil, yeah.
That would be really fun to have.
Oh yeah.
To have all of us on one thing. That would be really cool.
That would be great. I mean, if we could have you come on, Aaron, and have him come on too.
Yeah.
That would be really great.
It would.
Right now, I've told him that I'm just gonna send him like 2-hour clips, and it's up to him how he wants to edit them down. I'm just sending him the whole 2 hours now. I'm not even bothering to edit them. I'm just you chop them up however you want.
Right.
I remember the one day I tuned into it, and I listened here. It says, and we have Canadians with Disabilities and their Allies, and I'm like, what? And I listened to it. I'm thinking, oh my gosh! And here's, hi everyone, this is Brent the Weatherman. I'm like, oh my gosh, I was on here. And he says, yeah, we're proud to have Brent joining us on the show today. I'm going, what? I'm not there. That's how they made it sound. I'm like, they're like, welcome. I'm like, then they put the broadcast out, and I was like, Neil. And I said, and then Evil Flightless Birdie, my God, they're broadcasting it.
Yeah, who is, they also support what I do. Who is that person? That person supports what we do. I don't know who it is, but Evil Flightless Birdie on Twitter, they're a supporter. Whoever it is, they're supportive.
Aaron, Evil Flightless Birdies actually does my administration stuff in conjunction with Neil. She's the secretary for that I have, and she does a lot of. Well, she's very helpful with Neil with a lot of the some editing stuff too, behind the scenes, like audio stuff, and she's so helpful with a lot of things. And then she retweets stuff and posts stuff out for the show and for the podcast, and I'm so grateful for everything that she does.
She's multifaceted, multi-talented, so that's good.
She's a wonderful person, especially when I turn the audio up a little bit higher. Neil, it's too loud.
Yeah. I think we're about ready, so we're gonna do the outro, but you can do the sign off, Brent, and we'll play the outro out.
Oh, for sure. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in to another great episode of Canadians with Disabilities and Their Allies. I hope you all enjoyed the show today. Please tune in to Neil Matheson's website. Subscribe to Neil Matheson's site to all the episodes that I do, because it's all about lived experience. And I really enjoy interacting with all of you, because that's what it's all about. And also keep tuned for Breaking with Brent segments. I try to capture one of those moments where all of a sudden something's interesting and I just reach out. So again, thank you everyone. It's been great, and look forward to having you join into the live stream and send in your questions. Watch for live feed announcements. Thank you. Take care, everyone.
Great. And now Aaron's back, so we can. I didn't want to end the show with Aaron gone away from the.
Oh yes.
I was going to say, Aaron, I didn't want to end the show with you gone away from the chair, but we'll end the show now. But it was great to have you on the show.
It was. Thank you, Aaron.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so wonderful having you join the Canadians with Disabilities and Their Allies. So wonderful, everyone, and definitely look for the links down below. Neil will be posting them out to links over to Aaron Richmond's podcast. Please subscribe to Aaron's podcast also. Keep up to date with Neil Matheson's YouTube site and Aaron's Richmond's site, and you'll be in the queue of what's going on within the disability community. For our American friend Aaron Richmond, thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
And Neil, thank you again for all the work that you do here too, and everyone for tuning in. Thank you.
Okay. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.